And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Monday continues to look pretty windy here for the southeast coast. Gale warnings for much of the coast here out of the east and southeast at 35 knots. Gale warnings also for Clarence Strait, south winds 35 knots, southeast 30 for Stevens Passage, 25 knots for Lynn Canal. Excuse me, for the Tuesday outlook, south winds 15 to 20 knots on the south coast, east southeast at 20, north coast much lighter over the inside channels now, with south at 10 for Clarence Strait, southeast winds 15 knots for Stevens Passage up to Lynn Canal. Prince William Sound, small craft advisories, a stiff southeast wind tomorrow at 30 knots with 9-foot seas, 30 to 35 knots southeast winds for the eastern North Gulf Coast, southeast at 20 for the western coast, and for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, east winds 25 to 30, Cook Inlet, northeast 25 to 30. And then on Tuesday, Cook Inlet, north to northeast, 10 to 15 knots. Kamishak Bay, northeast at 20, 25 knots for the Barren Islands. North Gulf Coast, east winds, 20 knots, seas 8 to 9 feet. And Prince William Sound, those winds back down to 15 knots out of the east. Kodiak Island for Monday, east-southeast winds, 20 knots. Pretty brisk wind here for the peninsula, gale warnings actually, with north to northwest winds at 30 to 40 knots. Northeast at 30 knots for Bristol Bay. And for the bay on Tuesday, northwest winds 15 knots in the Alaska Peninsula, west-northwest at 15 to 25. Kodiak Island, northeast at 20. Fox Islands tomorrow, gale warnings, northwest winds 35 to 40 knots, northwest at 30 knots for Adak and Atka. And then in the far western Aleutians there, south winds 25 knots. Those turn southwest at 30 knots from Shemya to Kiska on Tuesday. Otherwise, central Aleutians, winds will be southwest at 20 knots in the Fox Islands, west to northwest, 20 to 30 knots. For the southwest coast tomorrow, as well as Norton Sound, St. Lawrence Island, all north at 30 knots in the forecast. Gale warnings for the Pribilofs, northwest 35 knots, 25 knot northwesterlies for St. Matthew Island. And then for the day on Tuesday, Norton Sound, north at 15, St. Lawrence Island and the Yukon Delta coast, north at 20, and northwest 20 knots for the Kuskokwim Delta coast. Small craft advisories for the Pribilof Islands, northwest 25, and St. Matthew Island, northwest at 15. Very windy conditions for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow. Gale warnings, east sustained 40 knots, and brisk wind advisories for the central and western coast for east to northeast winds at 30 knots in the Chukchi Sea, north winds 10 to 25. And then for Tuesday, Chukchi Sea, variable winds at 5 to 20 knots. And for the Arctic coast, we've got brisk wind advisories for east winds 25 to 35 knots with the gale warnings here from Kaktovik, Barter Island area to Demarcation Point.